I'm gonna start rhyming, Jerry. You see if you can catch up. My DJ is critical. I'm kicking up a stink. Soul survivor. The buck 65er is the missing link, the padlock, the fury, that one that holds the gavel with mad stock. The jury got a long road to travel, with potholes and gravel, and I brave the cold, but someday the road will be paved with gold. Just look at how long the quest took so far. If I got your name written in my address book, I'll be stopping by for greetings and handshakes. It's like butter, baby, melting over your pancakes or flapjacks. Most hardcore rap acts are caught up. Makes you wonder about the way that they were brought up. From day one, I was taught to take crap from nobody. As a kid, I was known to leave your nose bloody. Trust is the key to serving justice. Stand strong, or KNS, just for looking at me wrong. So take a long pause, imagine you're blind. Picture me extending my claws and snaking up from behind. Can you sense an evil entity? It's meant to be a prophecy. You see, if my philosophy and yours don't coincide, then I'ma take your mind and go inside with an explosive and inject some rhymes that be highly corrosive. Days are gonna get a lot longer if people make the world go round for real. The broke beak seeker, rummaging through bargain bins, dropping jargon on their hands. Call me Tasty Twins, never using safety pins to hold my beats together. Call it real, cause it is made of solid steel. I throw another X, because it sparks the thought. No debating, berating, and it marks a spot. Rhyme biting MCs, consider yourself a threat X. My favorite letter of the alphabet. Looking down from the mount at you, my curve is large. It makes no contact, and I levy a service charge. The scientific minded leaves you forever blinded with terrific wisdom. Should I be more specific? Maybe. If we do this on the level, you're dead in this endeavor. Never bet the devil your head. I'd like to introduce your ass to my footwear. I got some meters, equipment to put there. Take 5 to recoup and save strength. We can't match up, we ain't on the same wavelength. Cruising the performance, so pay to see the show. Don't dare defy the membership of murderers row. I'm batting cleaner and seeking sample clearance, so leave me alone, I don't need your interference. Days are gonna start getting longer if people make the world go round for real.
Louis Jordan. The Timpani 5. My uncle had some Louis Jordan records, right? So I guess one of the first things I remember was memorizing, the words to open the door, Richard, Rich, why can't you open that door? I used to have the whole record memorized. I used to be able to, not mime it, do it, with all the voices. Standing here scratching in my pants pocket. So, and all these Louis Jordan records, and so I grew up listening to Dixieland, and those drummers, and those players, Louis Armstrong, Red Nichols, and a lot of accordion players, that were around the house my dad played with accordion players. That was a great Italian wedding drummer, I like to say. My uncle had hipper tastes, My uncle turned me on, I heard Duke Ellington over my uncle's house. This was right across, we're feeding back. Headphones are feeding back, I think. Right across the street from each other,
Mm-hmm.
My mother's house was on one side of the street, my grandfather, my uncles, my aunts were on the other side of the street. So, my uncle had Duke Ellington, Count Basie, a little more hipper taste than my dad. I remember hearing Johnny Hodges when I was very young. And I think my uncle at one point took me to hear Clifford Brown and Max Roach. And Max Roach really stopped me cold. I just heard a drum solo and it just made sense to me. Totally, completely. I went to Black Hawk in San Francisco. And I think I heard Earl Father Hines. So I was always hearing this music, Max Roach stopped me cold. Bap. And then I met Shelly Manne, who was a great drummer, who was with Stan Kenton at the time, So this was like the big bands, you know. I met Gene Krupa when I was 8 years old, and Gene spent a whole day with me, talking to me. And there was a place in San Francisco called the Edgewater, at the beach. And that's where you got to go here every week there was a different big band. And they would come in for like one night, Benny Goodman, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Woody Herman, Stan Kenton, you know. So I got to go because my dad loved to hear that music, you know, and he would take me. And I'd go, stay out real late and listen to that music. And I got to go with my dad to places in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, the Tin Pan Alley. So like from the time I was, you know, 3 or 4 years old up till about the time I was about 8, that's when I met Gene, and then I met Shelly Manne. And Shelly Manne was really kind to me. I mean, really sweet to me, you know. Went backstage. And I always used to collect drumsticks from these drummers, you know. And I'd collect the drumsticks, you know, from Joe Jones. And I had a whole drawer. I don't know whatever happened to them. I had a whole drawer of drumsticks autographed from all these drummers, you know. So, you know, there was Shelly, and now I was getting to be around 10, 11, 12 years old, 13 years old, and junior high school. And I was listening to some popular music, you know, like Earth Angel and The Platter and some of that stuff, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think when I got to high school, probably like 14 or 15, there was a bass player. Interestingly enough, bass players, and a kid named Ed Teixeira. And he was hip, you know. I mean, he was like hip. He was listening to Miles and Bird, you know. And he said, man, you got to check this out. I was listening to that. You know, just kind of hearing Bird, but not understanding the importance. I had a revelation with Max Roach about the drum solo and Clifford Brown. But up to that point, it was just osmosis, you know. And then when I was around 13 or 14, I started to hang around with Ed Teixeira. And he started to, like, even make me listen to hipper music and get me to go out into the Fillmore district of San Francisco. I hate Fort McLeod Ashland, Haight Street. There's a club called the Cuckoo Club. And I used to go down there, like, on Sunday afternoons and try to sit in, you know. And it was an African-American club, you know, black club. And so I'd like sit in for like 1 beat or 2 beats, and somebody would throw me out, you know, and they'd let me hang around. And you know, so there was that influence. And then I heard Miles. So all through high school there was this hearing Bird, hearing Miles, and hearing people when I could sneak out to hang out and play. So at that point it was mostly a lot of people my age who were listening to hipper things, or guys older than me, who were listening to hipper things. And they were saying, hey man, you gotta listen to this, you know. So we'd cut out of school basically and go listen to records a lot, you know. You know, then I was going on, and you know, I had like a reputation in San Francisco. I was playing a lot of show gigs, a lot of symphony gigs. And, then I met Joe Morello. And I had also met Philly Joe, or I'd hung around the Black Hawk, you know. Black Hawk in San Francisco. There was 2 great drummers, Dick Moore, Sputnik, and Dick Burke and Eddie Moore, drummer who, a friend of mine who's dead now. Played with Sonny Rollins and all kinds of great people. So we just hung out at the Black Hawk and listened to Miles. And hung around Philly Joe and kind of went up to Bop City and hung around and acted a little dumb and tried to be hip. And we listened to whoever came to the Black Hawk. We went as many nights as we could go because we could get in free.